Sort of like Downton Abbey. Like.
Come again and see me, won't you? Very well, I'm going to ask you.
You were saying?
Yeah. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Yeah, we'll be back later on.
And listen, don't worry, you do want to be worried about when you die.
You're recording?
Yeah.
Already?
Say, what do you think of the place?
Oh, wonderful.
So like Downton Abbey light, right?
It precludes any walking then.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Skipped it.
Right. The stuff on top does all on
Or a lot to go. Well, both of them are protected by law, so they can't be closed. Then you have controversies. There's one down south of the one barn broom cut in half.
Okay, go at it there.
And I tried on the 10 pair before I...
Thank you very much. An Austin Healy.
Is it an
Shape, I think.
Comment when I saw this sign was, no shit. Now here's a Miata, it's just like mine, except that the steering wheel's on the wrong side.
Yeah, I'm going to take a picture of our first lunch.
It must be feeding time or something.
They know where they're going. Oops.
You said it's ice cube strainer?
Yes.
Oh, on the top of the cup. That's right.
I let a wait for 15 minutes.
Yes, but for what?
So
So you need to know for what?
Oh, well, Donna know that.
It's a good, hefty something or other. It is indeed. It's a railway.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, ours have a round head on them.
I've no time to talk.
His lordship's not come up yet.
Well, what is it?
I was hoping you could help young Alfred to find his way about.
As a footman, you mean?
As a valet. He's looking after Mr. Branson now, though I dare say a chauffeur can dress himself. But you could tell him what he needs to know, give him an advantage.
Why? What's the rush?
You've heard Mr. Matthew has turned down Mr. Mosley.
Blimey, you don't want much, do you? Can you remember what I had to go through to be a valet?
Of course, I watched it, didn't I?
But young Alfred is to make the great leap in one bound. Well, I'm sorry, Miss O'Brien, but I'm not convinced. If you'll excuse me.
Lady of Touch Street. You have all day. Excellent.
not walked this walk before, and many of these walks we haven't walked before, so I'll be constantly looking at my map. So please don't get disheartened if I'm picking the map up at regular intervals and finding out exactly where I am. Particularly in little towns. It's easy to get lost in towns because of the detail, you know, it's so much detail in a small piece. As we're walking around, if any of you want to stop for any reason, please shout up. We have all day, so I want to take my time. We don't want to get into settle and spend 3 hours waiting there.
It's just going to put the rises around here or something.
I remember once being in England, I think it was Cambridge, and seeing some people picnicking in the rain, and I thought, this is absolute madness. Well, guess what?
Here we are.
Okay, you're prepared.
I'm prepared. Right.
Bring them out of it on the computer.
Yes.
Sometimes you see things right. Nothing lost, isn't there? Never seen anything like that. I've only ever seen individuals.
Okay, get a picture of that butt.
As I said, I had paid my dues by touring the World War I battlefields about 5 years ago, and this mud, we didn't see anything like this in the trenches in France.
We've waded too. Waded through a few streets.
So very quickly, I haven't walked with some of you before, some I have. Linda and I have done 2 walks so far together. I tend not to be at the front too much. Okay, I'll just amble about a bit and chat to you and answer questions. So if you see birds or flowers or trees, I'm quite good at all that sort of stuff. I've trained Linda up as a sheep expert this week.
In 1837, a huge flood ran out of the entrance we just walked through and into the valley below, and the landowners saw this happening and thought, hey, that's a bit strange, because normally that big brown river runs down in the bottom of the valley, out underneath that little bridge onto the surface. That's the current down into the water. And then, 175 years ago, we drained the dam. Guess what happened to the flowstone? It started growing down. And all these teeth along the line, below it here, have all grown in 175 years. And any flowstone you see growing over the Cape Coral has grown in that same period. Can you hear me? Now then, imagine crossing that pothole with just a candle to light your way. Clinging onto the rock walls, no concrete path or handrail, it must have been terrifying. You wouldn't see the hole below, hence the name, the Abyss. Now when Queen Victoria visited the cave shortly after being crowned in 1837, she crossed that hole and she became terrified.
There we're standing under about 200 feet of limestone. Although this place does have a little more ambience than the New Shepherd subway, I still get a sense of claustrophobia in here. Now, part of the reason for this trip was to establish whether it was feasible for a 78-year-old man to take a hiking trip in England. After coming up here, I think the answer is no.
Deformed, unfinished, sent before my time. I am determined to prove a villain.
Perhaps no English king
crowned King Edward V. It was customary for a king to await his coronation in the Tower. It was a royal residence.
Yet you made the younger prince join him as well, did you not?
All in the Tower on his own, and I wanted both royal princes under my jurisdiction, and no one else's.
Yes, you most certainly did.
I was Lord Protector, sir. I was to rule on the boy king's behalf until he came of age.
Yes, but poor young Edward V.
Would you in Cambodia? The girl said, "Oh, my friend's got that." She sent it over from Canada.
Hello, stingy Scots friend from yesterday.
Yeah.
We're going to start all over again. Excellent.
Come out the late Queen Mother's 100th birthday. Military headquarters for York, Roman circle. They dug up 60 huge Roman columns there. And if you go outside the south end, it's back. The tallest of all the gateways of York, all floors in there, each one with the defendable, which is the bird museum in there as well. As you turn left on the corner, look at the statue, you can see it's got definitely the wild men of York. Look at the archway as well in the bottom, you might be able to see a couple of spikes pointing out at the bottom. This river to our side we were down this river and the whole area became completely flooded. So we killed all the animals and burnt all the crops. We had no way of feeding the food to the outside. Put on Hartford using the hospital for a while. Not in the type of hospital we have today though, more just a parish for the poor rather than curing illnesses. Top half where the birds are virtually unaltered. Museum is empty, which is that one. We use now the painting the photos of headaches. The doorway of our outside where the church is now visible in the tower itself. But finished in 1300s and we repair and we renovate but we never clean them. I don't think we got cleaned up.
This is the Thursday of my week in Yorkshire. I decided not to walk today anyhow because I found the walk on Tuesday pretty strenuous. Turns out it's a pretty miserable day, and that doesn't stop the Brits. They walk anyhow, but so I've had a very restful, enjoyable morning. I come up to the room now. I'm going to change before I go up for my walk. This is the bathroom. We'll give you a brief tour of this room, and it's got to be brief because, believe me, it is one pretty small room. But it's clean, and the staff are nice. They clean up quite regularly. Here's where I've been communicating with Marnie, and the internet service is very, very much hit and miss. This bed doesn't look like much, but it is extremely comfortable. I mean, I'm thinking of a solitary confinement cell, but no, this bed is really, really very nice. And look at that view. The Yorkshire Vales. The countryside is just spectacularly pretty, rain or shine.
Oh, Mr. Dick, you should have come on this trip because it was easy.
Well, this is actually quite enjoyable. It's raining, but when doesn't it rain in England? On a walk on my own, I'm probably going to do maybe a couple of miles, and that's it. And strolling on the roads rather than slogging through the cow poop and the mud. So I still haven't decided whether I'm going to go on the formal walk tomorrow or not. Who knows, I might even walk into Skipton, that's 8 miles, on my own, and take a cab back. We'll see. These stone walls, which are all over the place, millions of rocks right across Yorkshire, are quite interesting. They're assembled just rocks piled on rocks. It's quite an art form, apparently, quite a craft, quite a skill. No glue whatsoever, and they've been standing very often for 300, 400, 500 years. You'll notice here that the satellite dishes are almost straight up and down, whereas ours are tilted at something of an angle. Reason being, Bracebridge is roughly 45 degrees. Here we're up around 50, 51 degrees.
I think he really is. You know, he always
Yes, you are right. Strauss.
Carries on. Now, if you like to turn your attitude over, what is the show and what is the piece of music? So we'll start it off. Okay. Okay, number 6. What have we got for number 6?
Argentina.
Argentina.
Ibiza.
Yeah.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Don't cry for me, yeah. That's 11.
Knowing me.
No, knowing you. Yeah.
Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I should have 21 of you. So I'll just double check. 1, 2. Can you do me a favour? Just
stand still.
Just stand still for a second, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And here's a close-up of the Yorkshire pudding on my feet.
Shooting at anyone out there.
What? This is mutiny!
It's not that, sir. It's just that they're afraid of being charged with murder if they actually kill anyone. There's a couple of legal aid lawyers on board watching everyone like a hawks.
Then how are we to sink the Frenchies on the street?
Your sister Mary had a baby this morning, but I haven't found out whether it's a boy or a girl. So I can't tell you whether you're an uncle or an auntie. That's stop these eating beans.
Forward and back.
Sleep and lived in more fear. So let's have one turn.
There's a smile, there's a truth in your eyes.
Lads, had your guns. Now tell you.